Greetings, scale modelers, and welcome to another quick and dirty building review. The focus of today's episode is going to be the Revell Hobby Lobby 32 scale UH-1D Huey helicopter, Bell helicopter. Boy, nothing says the Vietnam War more than a Huey helicopter. It was an ambulance, it was a battle wagon, it carried troops, it did everything. And this particular model was a Medal of Honor winner, and the history of the pilot, like during one day, he went through 3 different helicopters going back in and out of a landing zone to, to help save people. So this is a terrific model. And the history of Bell helicopter with Vietnam, it doesn't start with Vietnam. It goes back to Lyndon Johnson in Fort Worth, Texas. And Senator Johnson, Bell helicopter donated a helicopter to Senator Johnson's campaign. And, the relationship grew from there up into a huge military war contract in a war that President Johnson did a lot to get us deeply involved in. And it's kind of interesting how those things tie together. But no matter, let's get back to building scale models. This is a fun one. So the pieces are all big. Let's get into it and let's have some fun and put together a heavily armed Huey. The Revell 32 scale UH-1D Huey kit has 111 parts, and the instruction sheet is consistent with the other Revell instruction sheets in the Hobby Lobby series. 111 parts, comprehensive part list, drawings nice and clear, big numbers, and I didn't see any mystery colors yet that were not explained by the color list. So that's nice. And let's get this thing started. This is a friendly message from the future scale modelers. If you're building the Revell 32 scale Huey, be mentally prepared to spend a fair amount of time getting these positioned right, or you can just read the instructions and do it right the first time. But if you're having any trouble with the weapons on your Huey, don't beat yourself up about it, because what you were looking at is about the 40th or 50th attempt I have made to get those cradles on there in the proper position. My first half dozen tries weren't even in the right spot, so I had to tear everything apart and do it all over again. So it has taken me multiple tries just to get this far, and now I've got the rocket tubes on, and I'm still not real happy with that, but I got what I got. So if you struggle with this phase as I have, don't feel bad about it. Yow. I'm pre-painting individual parts right now, and the base coat is Rust-Oleum paint and primer double coat white. And the white base coat is given a really nice weathering effect with the fuselage. And this is what I got going on so far, and I taped the body halves together so that I'll airbrush them more evenly on my next coat. You can see the difference between the two, so I figured I'd better get them together so that I got this thing looking sharp when the two halves come together. It won't take long before you realize with this kit that there is flash on everything, and it's a superficial kind of wispy kind of flash. But I find myself having to saw something off to get the parts together, just about every part, even though the flash itself is pretty easy to slice off. But that's going to be part of your situation with this Huey kit. Lots of flash. Here's a quick look at the pilot figures, which I'm glad they included. And just wanted to take a quick look around the interior before I put the roof on. And so the detail with the pedals there, that's pretty good looking. And this thing's going together fairly well so far, other than having to trim all that flash. I'm at step 5 in the process, where the rotor hub comes together. This really looks like a bear. There it is assembled, but this looks kind of daunting. It's time to start. The two sub-assemblies for this hub thing, those went together better than I thought. There are sharp ends on these that go into the holes, and that worked out okay. And I got it positioned on there okay, and that looks darn near like the instructions. And so don't be too intimidated by that. It is doable. But yeah, my job isn't perfect here, and that little joint thing there, that's pretty hinky too. But I got close. A tiny little part number 34 clips on the propeller shaft at the bottom to hold that into place, and that fit on there pretty well. And this whole assembly is just about ready to go into the cabin section. I had to cut flash. There was flash all the way around this, all the way around this, all over this. There's flash all over this. I mean, you are going to be shaving. I mean, get acquainted with that thing, because you're going to need it for this kit. Oh my God, there's a bunch of flash all over these parts. Yikes. These are lead drapery weights, and I am dousing them with some Elmer's glue and then putting them into the bottom deck of the chopper. That's how I'm doing mine. I'm at step 6 now. Here's the cockpit assembly. Here's the fuselage half. And you can do what you want to do, but once I get these guys into here, I am putting as much lead weights as I can on the bottom deck here, so that the helicopter will sit right on the ground after I get it built without having to tape anything onto the bottom. So I'm gonna cement some lead curtain weights that I got at the hardware store to the deck here for ballast. So you may want to come up with something yourself there so that the thing sits on the ground right. As you well know, 32 scale is a pretty big scale, and for such a long fuselage, I think these two halves came together pretty darn well. You know, compared to like the Revell B25, that was a real mess. This one, it's got a real hairline thin thing going on down the middle, but the halves do fit together pretty well, and the cockpit also fit very well. And I've had some other, well, yeah, other models, it's been a real fight getting the cockpit to fit right, and this one was good. So this model is coming together pretty beautifully, but I am going to need to do like super glue to do as gap filler, and I'm going to have to repaint all these spots, which is a little bit sad because right now I'm happy with the rest of the paint, but I'm going to have to give it one more hit of paint to get it looking sharp. My Elmer's glue didn't dry on the windows in a problematic way, so those still look like clear windows, but that gap in there is pretty significant, and I'm just putting on the runners right now. So I gotta do putty and paint, and look at that gap. I had this thing rubber banded together as tight as I could, and I still got a gap that I'm gonna have to putty up and do a repaint. So, but other than that, so far so good. I'm having fun building this thing. I'm at the point now with the fuselage where any further attempts are gonna break more than they're gonna help. So now I'm at putty time, and here's the spot that I just can't deny that has got to get puttied. And while I'm at it, I'm probably gonna go down here and take care of that as well. And so it's time to get busy with that. And while I was at the drugstore today, I found mini little party cups. So that's my new airbrush paint mixing cups. Kind of a cool little discovery for $5. Oh, it took a little bit of Tamiya Basic and a wood blade, and I worked some putty in all the way down. It looks kind of ugly right now, but it's part of the process. And I ran a bead all the way down, just because there is a little hairline visible crack, and you know, while you're going to the trouble to dirty up an airbrush and go over it, I took it all the way. So that's how I'm getting this, and it'll have a nice good closed up seam. Yep, there's a visible crack along the top of the tail boom. So after I scrape off the excess here, there's just going to be a little hairline bead of putty that really dries quickly, actually, because there's enough solvent inside the putty. Of course, it smells like harsh chemicals, but you know, hour and a half from now, this thing's going to be ready to sand off and airbrush. So I think I'm going to be airbrushing tonight. One of my favorite scale modeling YouTubers is Model Minutes, and I think he's English. And I see him using a lot of sanding sticks. And, you know, I got sandpaper, I got sticks, I got Elmer's glue. I'm a fucking Boy Scout. So I made my own sanding stick, 300 grit. And, you know, in my best English dialect, I think Sir Baden-Powell, a founder of the Boy Scouts, would be right fucking pleased with my sanding sticks. Be prepared. Got some pretty big chunks of putty on here. The 300 grit just seems to be the perfect combination of sawtooth effectiveness combined with finesse. So right now 300 grit's been almost the only thing that I've been using at all, unless it's super fine, and I got some 1000 for that. But by and large, my day-to-day go-to is 300. And I'm getting modeling magic, baby. The putty sanded off. I think I got this thing masked properly. Hopefully this is the last coat of OD green I need to lay onto this baby, and it'll be looking good. It has been fun to build. I wasn't looking forward to building this, but now that I'm halfway through it, I really like doing this. Okay, the nose is looking good. The putty job looks pretty good. I just retouched it with flat black, and so I'm ready to put those detail parts up on the roof here. All those cool looking fins and handles and all that shit. And I'll be getting the handles on the tail boom over here and get that rotor on there and get this baby looking sharp. Yeah. These fins are indexed so that you don't get the right and the left one crossed up. So that's fantastic, unmistakable. This one's keyed in the middle and the other one's keyed off over to one side. So that's how you get that one right. And then this one over here on the weapons pod, same kind of deal. So I appreciate what they're doing here with the indexing, shaping of the way the parts fit together. There's a crossbar that is a centerpiece for the two hinged turbine doors, and I had to trim off quite a bit of the tab so that it would fit into the index tab in the back there, and otherwise it would not fit at all. And so I'm trying to slide that on there and hopefully pop this in. Even so, I think I still need to trim it a little more because I gotta force it way too much and I'm gonna end up breaking something. So that crossbar might give you trouble. During the building process, you can encounter mishaps that end up destroying a lot of your effort. This door popped off, and so in the process of trying to find the hinge that popped off, which ended up being, you know, stuck in this under area there where that lower window is. So that thing's rattling around in there. And then in the process, I broke off the cockpit panel, and so it popped off and flew out. And getting that back into position after, I don't know, 30 minutes of jockeying, it's still off kilter, but that's the best I can get it. So you just got to punt the football and stop. So the other pilot figure fell off. Everything just went tumbling down. It was just a destructive cyclonic of challenge and adversity, scale modelers. So and now I still don't have the door fixed, and the cockpit is still cockeyed, but that's the best I can get it. And it was driving me nuts. The cockpit slightly ajar, but the Elmer's glue is working. And now I got some more ship in a bottle bullshit that I didn't expect. Getting the chair and the pilot figure back in there. Well, after you trim off about a ½ pound of flash, it's the rotors are as simple as the big blade section and then a small underclip that mirrors the look of that, and that came together pretty well. And I thought this one was going to be maybe the toughest part of the whole thing, but this so far is looking pretty straightforward. I glued the runners on last night, and the curtain weights that I doused with Elmer's glue, and I dabbed them onto the lower deck of the fuselage before I put the cockpit section in. That worked wonderfully. So that's the first time my lead weight experiments with my scale models worked out on the first try. And so that's a success. Now, people, of course, your results may vary, and I really hope they do. I don't want them to be like mine. But I've been trying and trying and trying, and having to rebuild and break off and, putty and repaint. And still, I have a big visible crack on that rocket launcher. And it was when I put in this part right there, the tips of the rockets, or whatever the hell that is, the poison flechettes. It still split open the tube, and I got a gap showing that I've already puttied these things a couple of times, and I'm still screwed. So I sure hope your results do vary. But on the bright side, this fucking gun right there popped right in because of a good index tab into a properly drilled hole on the weapon. Love it. Okay, this is the first attempt at having all 4 guns on the pods, and it seems to be hanging in there, and they look half-assed straight. So I think I'm hitting the 85% rule so far. Let's see how they dry up when the glue cures. Holy crap, the starboard side gun went on just as easily. And you don't have to balance on anything, it just pops right in. Boy, do I like that after all that bullshit. Now, this is something I tried to pick up off of from the Scale Model Minutes guy, because I like the way he builds models. He does a lot of 172s, and he's really good at it. But I am doing a diluted gunmetal wash over the ammo belts and the guns, just to see if I can make some detail pop. And it might be a little bit too thick, but that's what I'm working on next. And then I'm gonna clear coat this damn thing and start doing weathering and decals. One last look at this badass before. I'm using an untested, and I did not test this on anything before shooting it onto my model, and so I'm throwing caution to the wind. This is MTN Pro acrylic matte varnish, so it's not petroleum based per se, so I think it ought to be cool with my Tamiya acrylics. I am now dry brushing some flat aluminum on the tail boom, as you can see. So weathering's coming along. I'm a complete novice at this, just trying to have fun learning. I am literally watching this guy do his rust effects while I am doing my own. So I need to thank CT Scale Modeling UK for the weathering tips. Oh, I've had fun today just doing some decals, taking a break, and then doing some more decals. Now I'm dabbing on some micro saw, and while I was sliding these babies on, I was using micro set, and they seem to work really well. And the decals were easy to work. They needed a full minute or more to loosen up, but once they did, they didn't break, they didn't tear, they didn't disintegrate. Good decal sheet. A little bit slow to loosen up, but easy to work. So this model is just about finished. I'm gonna give it one more once over, and I'm ready to take some photos. Okay, this damn thing was a whole lot of fun. And look at how big it is, man. It's big, it's fun, it looks badass, It won the Medal of Honor. It's available at Hobby Lobby. It's it's one of the cheaper model kits out there actually. So in fact, down the road, I might have fun building the Canadian ambulance version, which this has decals for, and it's bright yellow, and it also looks great. So this is a fun one, and yeah, I fucked up the windows with the clear coat. So but it is what it is, and the rest of it looks really good. So, I got some weathering in there on it. I hope you can see some of the details. Yep, there it is. There's some weathering. So, this was a fun model. So, this has been another quick and dirty build and review. I'm Jim, and thanks for watching. Take care.